Slavery is back.
Welcome to a place where private business profit from a captive labour force, yet pennies are spent on medical services to a population in which the Indigenous, the poor and the mentally ill are overrepresented. Where isolation, humiliation and degradation are facts of life. Welcome to prison.
It depends who's telling the story, I suppose. The prisoners would have one view, the people who work in the prison system would have another, and I think it's up to people to decide where the truth is.
Give government propaganda and the media spin doctors the flick. And check out Doin Time for news, views and tunes on prison issues from Guantanamo Bay to Christmas Island to prisons and detention centres everywhere. Every Monday at 4 p.m. on your community radio 3CR.
We are still fired up and we're still talking about revolution.
Hello and welcome to the Doin Time show. This is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM on the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au. This is Marisa and I'll be taking you through until 5 o'clock this evening. And a warning that this episode of Doin Time may contain audio images of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who have died and discussion of deaths in custody and massacre details. First up on the show, we will bring you an extended interview with Aunty Glenda and Peter Jones, and Aunty Glenda will talk about what land she's on and give a proper introduction, and so will Peter presently. But we're going to be speaking about an upcoming memorial commemorating a massacre at Appin, New South Wales. Then after that, we'll hear from David Glanz from the Refugee Action Collective, who will provide updates in regards to what's happening with government legislation further criminalising asylum seekers and refugees. And just before I go to Aunty and Peter, I just wanted to give a little bit of background about the massacre. And there obviously has been a lot of trauma, and the Doin Time show is instrumental in providing safety for people from marginalised communities who are deprived of a voice in the mainstream media. And sometimes the media can be very cruel and very inhumane towards Aboriginal people and doesn't really discuss a lot about colonisation and massacres and what's really going on. And that's what this show is about. So Aunty Glenda is an elder of the Cubbitch Barta Clan of the Dharawal Nation and a descendant of Jirabanga and a survivor of the 1816 massacre. And I'm sure you're on hold listening there, Aunty. If you could just talk about what land you're from and correct me with some of that pronunciation. Aunty is also a respected local elder who has been actively involved in the protection of significant local cultural sites, and we'll be speaking pretty soon about the upcoming memorial and also the date and time that it's on very soon. Peter Jones is also a long-time Campbelltown resident, community worker and co-facilitator of the annual memorial for the Appin Massacre Memorial. Is coming up in 2024, with this Sunday actually, and we will be speaking with Aunty and Peter right now. Hello, welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hello. So there's Aunty Glenda and also Peter as well. So I'm really happy to have you both on the show. And Aunty, could you just start off by telling us what land you're from?
Yeah, I'm from the Dharawal lands of the Cubbitch Barta Clan. You almost got it right.
Yeah.
And the massacre took place at Appin.
Appin?
Yes, on the 17th of April, 1816.
So I wasn't too bad then?
Yeah, you nearly got it right.
Well, that's why you're here, Aunty. And Peter, you're also helping out with the memorial as well?
Yes, I'm a white fella who lives on Dharawal land. Very kindly, I've been allowed to live here and work here all my life.
Beautiful.
In Campbelltown in New South Wales.
So following a difficult year and the impact of the effort to fight for a voice to Parliament, and I'm reading directly from the media release here, this year's Massacre Memorial offers an opportunity for the community to come together in an active gesture of truth-telling and healing. Auntie, can you start off talking about that and talk about the memorial and why it's happening and where?
Well, the memorial services happen now, and Peter might be able to give us a definite how many years, but it's been a long time. It started with just a handful of people, and now we can have anything up to several thousand people attend on the day to remember it. The referendum was a really hard thing for us to understand Australian people's way of thinking in regards to Aboriginal people. I found it very difficult to do Welcome to Countries after the loss of the referendum, because I thought, if people don't consider that Aboriginal people are here, what does a welcome mean? It didn't even mean anything to myself for a little while, you know. So it's a chance to come together again, and the Winga Myamly Reconciliation Group has been doing a great job of the memorial service with the Aboriginal community for several years now. Decades.
Yeah, well, it is decades, and thank you so much, Auntie, for describing all that, and we'll come back to you in a second. But Peter, can you just tell us where this memorial is going to be held and what's happening?
Yeah, so thank you. The memorial's actually held on at Cataract Dam, which is a property managed by Water New South Wales. We don't hold the memorial right at the site of the massacre. We're at the nearest place that is publicly available for people to meet and gather, which isn't very far from the site. We're meeting this Sunday, and we have a get-together, a public barbecue, one of the last free feeds you'll get round here, at about 11 o'clock, and then about 1 o'clock we move to a sort of a nearby location where we have a memorial service in honour of the 14 who lost their lives, 14 known people that lost their lives during that massacre in 1816.
And I have made it my business, while I have been doing this show and while I'm alive, this is going to continue happening, that I've interviewed quite a few people about massacres around Australia, and in fact quite a few elders, including elders from Mile Creek as well, that Joe has organised, and a cheerio to Joe as well for helping to organise today. And I've also interviewed Professor Lyndall Ryan as well. And it's so important for people to understand about what really happened during the Frontier Wars and the massacres. And I suppose, Aunty Glenda, as a survivor of the 1816 massacre, could you tell us, and this is going to sound really like a very basic question here, what is a massacre and why were they happening? I know it's a part of genocide, but can you just tell us why?
Well, apparently there is a definition of what they consider a massacre. It's over a certain number of people killed in an incident. The Appin Massacre was actually carried out under the orders of Governor Lachlan Macquarie because he considered that the land was infested with natives, and there had been a lot of reprisals for things that had been done to Aboriginal people. So he actually declared war on them and sent out 3 regiments pursuing them, and had very specific orders to strike terror and to call for surrender, and if they didn't surrender, basically shoot them. And so the Appin Massacre occurred when they came upon the camp in the very early hours of the morning on the steep cliffs of the Cataract River. And we know of at least 14 that died. because they did not recover all the bodies from the bottom of the cliff. 2 of the men's bodies were hung in a tree close by as a warning to others, because that was part of the orders given by Governor Lachlan Macquarie. But nowhere in those orders, and I've read those orders back in 2016 for the 200th anniversary, did it talk about decapitating people. And we know at least 3 people were decapitated. The heads were sent off to Edinburgh in England, and they've been returned several years ago, and they are currently being held in custody, for want of a better word, while we maybe one day repatriate them shortly. So I participated in the Australian Wars documentary, and one of my granddaughters and myself actually got to go down to the National Museum to visit the ancestors there.
Fantastic, and I imagine that would have been a lot of healing for you.
That was hard. When I was first asked if I wanted to do it, I said no, I couldn't do it. But then I thought about it, and I thought, I think it's probably necessary that I do it, so that other people can see the effect it has on you, and certainly my granddaughter. It affected both of us. She was only 23 years old at the time. She was my my assistant for the day, my support for the day.
Beautiful.
And it was hard, but we did it. We got through it, and it was a great documentary.
Which documentary was that, Glenda?
It was called The Australian Wars. It was a 3-part series done in 22. It came out on SBS on the 21st of September 2022.
I remember that documentary. That was great.
I think it's still available.
Yes,
Glenda,
on
I think it's still
on
available.
demand. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, Auntie,
Yeah,
I remember, and Peter, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel Perkins was the director.
Yes, indeed, I remember now.
Yes.
I beg your pardon, sorry about that. Yeah, I do, and that was actually, that left me shattered at the end of that. But I'm not surprised, though. I wasn't surprised at all, to be honest.
No, and it covered the whole of Australia. Started off, right at the beginning with the first fleet landing in Sydney, basically, and ending up on Rachel's country in around Alice Springs, where some of her own family were massacred many years ago.
See, this is not talked about too much.
No, but we have had a little win here recently in New South Wales, because through a lot of work and with Heritage New South Wales, we've got a state heritage listing for the Appin Massacre cultural landscape. And you asked Peter earlier where the memorial service was held. Hopefully in future years, hopefully I live long enough to see it, that we can hold those memorial services within that cultural landscape near where the massacre actually took place.
And that's not happening at the moment?
No, because it's only just the gazettal of the listing is only fairly new. So there's a lot of work to be done with the current landowners about how we progress that.
And do the landowners need education?
No, they've learnt a lot through this process. It's just we will need monetary support to make things happen within these places now.
It's really fantastic, though, that there is happening on Sunday. So in case people have just tuned in, this is the Doin Time show, 3CR Melbourne. And we are speaking with Aunty Glenda and Peter Jones about an upcoming memorial commemorating massacre of 1816. How do you pronounce it? In Appin?
Appin,
New South Wales. So you can tell I'm from Victoria. So this year marks the 208th anniversary of the Appin Massacre, and the memorial was held each year, isn't it, at Cataract Dam?
Yes.
And So what time is it on? Again, can one of you repeat those details?
11 a.m. 11 a.m. and then we go through till about 3:30 p.m.
Okay.
Start gathering about 11 and go through till 3:30 p.m.
There's
So,
usually dancing and have a smoking ceremony.
oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That'll be really good. And it's a chance to look at real history, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's talk about the non-Aboriginal people. There will be non-Aboriginal people present there.
Yes, there are, yes.
Can I talk about one in specifically?
Yeah.
I don't know whether she'll be here this year. She's been here every year since 2016, which was the 200th anniversary. She features in that documentary that I did with Rachel. She discovered in 2016 that her ancestor was in that regiment. And so she came to the realisation that her ancestor wasn't the great and good person that they always thought he was, because he actually participated in it. So she came along to the 2016, didn't know what sort of reception she was going to get, but we took her in, and I'm still friends with her today.
Well, it's not her fault.
No. No.
You know, it's really interesting, isn't it, Auntie and Peter, about how it's so important for people to come together, and black, white or brindle.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And we have that whole realm. Yes, Peter, don't we?
We do, and I guess one of the strong features about our group is, even though there are white people involved in organising and in the activities, we have a majority of Aboriginal people and community members who participate, and many of the service organisations, the Aboriginal representatives of those groups come along and they're involved. So it's certainly not a white-driven memorial, although we do see the importance of us doing a lot of the legwork. We feel that that's part of our responsibility and our role. But certainly the day itself, I think, has been a wonderful example of collective, people working together, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal in this community. And I think it's one of the strengths of our community that grows every year across 3 local government areas, and the increasing commitment of councils and organisations to give opportunities to their Aboriginal community members to participate and also to drive the events that happen.
Absolutely, it's so important. And I'm just having a look here at the media release, and I like the way you've all put it there, that it's an annual commemorative service, an opportunity for Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people to come together in a spirit of reconciliation to acknowledge past wrongs, pay respect to the victims, and make a contribution to collective healing.
Yes, yep, absolutely, and I really think that is what we feel and what we do when we're at the event,
and
as well as organising it.
Yeah.
And to think, Peter, it started off with just a handful of people.
Yeah, look, and it did. And speaking to that, it was a handful of people, and they kept that fire alive. And I don't know how long the Dharawal people kept the memory of that for the many decades and years before. But I think as a public event that really started to be promoted, I think we're looking back nearly 25 years just after the bridge walk, and that's when it really took off as a settled public event, and it's always held on the Sunday closest to the date of the massacre, which was the 17th of April. The Campbelltown Council does a flag raising on the day if the memorial doesn't occur on the actual day. So this year is the 14th. But that whole week, we is a strong point in our year to bring people together.
And I wonder there may even be other people whose ancestors participated in that massacre coming.
More than likely. Because there's a lot of people still doing their genealogies and their family trees, and people are learning more about what their ancestors did and where they were. So, yes, there's probably more will come in the future.
And Aunty Glenda, were you able to go back and find out the names of your ancestors that were killed?
No.
Never.
No, the three persons who are in the National Museum, the men are named. They actually named the men, but they didn't name the woman.
Wow.
And it's quite likely she was very closely related. Very closely.
Not sure if you know Uncle Ray Jackson.
Where from?
Gallagher country.
No, I don't know.
He did a lot of work in Sydney with ISJA, ISJA Sydney, and he did a lot of work with deaths in custody. And I'm sure he's passed away now, but he would have come to this, I'm sure.
Mm. He might have done in the past.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so let's plug this again then. So, Peter, did you want to do the honours here and just...
Sure.
Because I'm sure there might be people from Victoria or, people will be listening on the internet as well.
Yep. So just for context, Appin is located about 70 kilometres southwest of Sydney. It's on the road between Campbelltown and Wollongong, so it's on the Appin Bulli Road. It's the location is Cataract Dam. We kick off at 11 o'clock with a community feast, and we'll have a ceremony from about 1 o'clock on until about 3:30. It's a beautiful. It's the dam, the Cataract Dam site. Beautiful site. It's set in wood, set forest there. Beautiful place for a picnic and a get together. There is a bit of a walk involved, but if you need support, we've got some buses that'll take people down to the site. We have a wonderful community walk to the ceremony where hundreds of people walk along the road together to the site. Everybody who comes can gets a chance to participate with a few other 100 people to really recognise this event. And we just say bring some walking shoes and some sun protection.
Chair.
And a chair if you need it. We have some chairs, but we always run out. We've always got people standing. If you're a white fella, bring a bit of extra sun protection. And, everybody's welcome, and we look forward to seeing you out there.
Rain, hail or shine.
Absolutely.
That's hilarious if you're a white fella.
I think we've only actually, I think in our years, we had one cancellation for COVID and one delay due to
flooding rain.
Ironically, the water we couldn't hold it because it was on waterboard land, but the water wasn't working, so we couldn't hold it. But we got washed away. But that's the only times I think that it's ever not gone ahead when it was supposed to.
Fantastic. And who's it hosted by?
It's hosted by the Winga Myamly Reconciliation Group, who are a non-profit, non-government group of Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal people who've been working together for over 25 years in the Campbelltown, Macarthur region. We don't like to mention the Macarthur name, but in this region, Auntie, so we are supported by the three local governments of Wallandilly, Campbelltown and Camden, and who we make sure they show a commitment to looking after the people and the past in the area. So
the memorial will be held this year on Sunday, the 14th of April, 2024 from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. at the Cataract Dam picnic area.
Yes. Yep.
And yeah, so that this is a good thing. Any Cheerios either of you want to give out to any of the other people on the committee or elders?
Well, we could.
Sister Kerry.
Sister Kerry, Uncle Ivan, who's not been terribly well lately. And I'd like to give a little shout out. I mean, to all the committee members. They are everybody works very hard. For quite a few months leading up to this. And just a quick hello to Jo as well, because she's been a fantastic supporter. We like the Mile Creek Mob, and they're great supporters of us, and we look forward to seeing them out here as well.
Sister Kerry is our guardian angel.
She is.
Wow.
Sister Kerry's been there pretty much from the start, and has made this event happen on the smell of an oily rag, I think is the expression,
yes.
for many years. Yep. No, she's done a fantastic job.
That's awesome. Just one last question, and it probably, I don't know, I just thought I'd ask it. So the massacres that are happening with the heritage listing,
Yes.
is that in the process of happening at the moment?
The massacre or the massacre listing?
The listing.
The listing, I think, is being sort of done independently through some university.
Yep.
Lyndall's been working with.
Okay.
Trying to map all the massacres across Australia.
Perfect.
But they define a massacre as being over a certain number of people killed, and I'm not quite sure what it is, 4 or 5 or something like that.
That's okay.
But in some cases there could have been dozens and hundreds.
Oh, there would have been. There's so much. Look, there's so much to look at, isn't there? I mean, I'm sure there'd be others that aren't even reported yet.
Well, yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
True. One thing about the Appin Massacre was it was well documented. One thing that they did do very well, even though they did some horrible things, they wrote it all down back then.
Ah.
But then they learned not to do that anymore because it got them into trouble.
Absolutely. It left too much of a trace.
Yes.
If people, I just throw this in, if people want to get a little bit more information about it, Reconciliation Australia have done a report which includes the Appin Memorial under their truth-telling report. So if you go to the Reconciliation Australia website and look up publications, you'll see the report on truth-telling community truth-telling that came out in September of last year, around the time of the referendum. There's a bit of a history that Aunty Glenda features in there with her story and some of the other participants in this event, so people might want to find out more about it there if they can't attend the event.
There's also on the Heritage New South Wales website, you would find a lot of information on the Appin Massacre Cultural Landscape listing on the State Heritage Register. So that's on their website as well.
Yep.
Peter and Aunty Glenda, thank you so much for coming onto the program. It's been really great having you both, and I'm hoping you can come back at some stage to give a bit of a report back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Aunty Glenda.
Thanks. Bye, Peter.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Aunty Glenda and Peter Jones, and they were speaking about the Appin Massacre and the memorial that's coming up on Sunday the 14th of April. And if people need to look at any details there, they can go onto the Heritage Listing website with Professor Lyndall Ryan and other sources. And we'll be going to a song now.
Warm and bedded in the home, work my fingers to the bone. Warm and bedded the bone. Woman business in the home. Woman business, live alone. No, 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 woman business, live alone in an office or in a car. The problems they are very far. Do it elsewhere, fresh local thing. She's a woman, she knows her thing. Woman business in the home. Work my finger to the bone. Woman business in the home. Woman business, live alone. Woman business, live alone. Woman business, live alone.
And in case you've just tuned in, this is 3CR Community Radio, 855 AM the dial, streaming live on www.3cr.org.au, and this is the Doin Time show. And previously you heard an extended interview with Aunty Glenda and Peter Jones about an upcoming memorial for a massacre at Appin, New South Wales. And then you just heard a song by Ruby Hunter called Women's Business. Coming up now, we're going to be speaking with David Glanz from the Refugee Action Collective. And David is going to be speaking with us about some of the legislation that has come through the government in regards to further criminalising asylum seekers and refugees, and giving just a little bit of background about what this legislation means, because a lot of the time the media really don't talk about some of the issues in regards to this topic. Hello, David. Welcome to the program.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
I'm fine. Very angry with this Labor government, but I'm fine.
Me too, actually. David, can you tell us what's been going on?
Yeah, well, nearly 2 weeks ago, Labor tried to ram through at incredibly short notice what is arguably one of the worst and most shameful pieces of anti-refugee legislation that's been proposed in this country. It was knocked back in the Senate and sent off to a committee, so it's going to be another few weeks before it comes back for debate. But this legislation is criminalising some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and it is potentially raising the possibility of bans on people coming from a series of countries. And the last time we heard about bans on a whole series of countries, that was Donald Trump with his Muslim ban. And Labor is putting forward something which actually has serious echoes of what Trump put forward in his first term of office. So the background to this is that the High Court ruled now a few months ago that if someone is being held in detention, and we're not talking about days or weeks, often we're talking about 10 years or more, and there is no chance of them being deported, then they should be released into the community. Very simple proposition. It should have been passed by the High Court 20 years ago, but they finally recognised that a government cannot lock somebody up indefinitely when they've committed no crime. And people may remember that quite a number of people, 150 people or so, were released from detention, and the Liberals and the media kicked up a big fuss because many of them had criminal records. The thing that needs to be emphasised that has never been said clearly in the mainstream media, and which Labor doesn't say, is that everyone released with a criminal record had served their time for that criminal offence. Now, if you're an Australian, you do a crime, you do your time, and you're released, sometimes with complications and obligations, but you're released. These people had committed crimes, not all of them, but many of them had committed crimes, done their time, and then been held in detention, which is like a form of imprisonment indefinitely. That's locked up potentially for the rest of their life. And the High Court said, no, that's not going to happen anyway. And rather than Labor going out on the front foot and saying, these are small numbers of people who are victims primarily of the politics of Morrison and Dutton, they're people who have done their time and deserve a chance to rebuild their lives. They're people who are in fear of being deported to countries where they could be harmed. Instead of saying that, Labor's basically come in with a sledgehammer to smash these people. And this new piece of legislation says, if you do not cooperate with attempts to deport you, if you don't sign forms, if you don't deal with issues to do with your passport, you will be sent to prison for a minimum of 12 months. And there are very few crimes where if you break the law, you immediately go to jail. It's very unusual and very draconian. And this means there's a whole bunch of people who are potentially at risk, people who are scared to go back to places like Iran or Sudan or Somalia because of the persecution they've faced. And these people now, if this legislation is passed, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure it's not passed, these people could be forced to return to countries where they're at danger of imprisonment, of torture, and even of death. And this is absolutely shameful of the Home Affairs Minister, Claire O'Neill, and the Migration Minister, Andrew Giles. And a lot of refugees will be caught up in this. Refugees who have asked for asylum here in Australia, asked for protection, rejected under a process called Fast Track, which was brought in by Scott Morrison, basically set up asylum seekers to fail. So lots of people who are clearly genuine refugees have been rejected. They are now on bridging visas. They can be told at any time by the minister, collaborate with us and be deported, or don't collaborate and go to jail. This is inhumane. This is government cruelty on a scale which we thought Dutton and Morrison would have trouble matching this degree of viciousness.
So let's talk about the media and what the mainstream media is doing about this, because the way you've described it has been much better. I've been really confused about this whole topic.
Well, I think the media, for the most part, and I'm sure there's some exceptions in some corners, but for the most part, they are for pushing essentially the racist line that foreigners are a risk. And if you think I'm exaggerating, that's exactly what the Liberal Party was saying in the context of the Dunkley by-election down in Frankston a few weeks ago. Susan Ley, who is the deputy leader of the Liberal Party, came out and said basically if you vote Labor, you're going to have illegal refugees or illegal migrants breaking into your house, raping you, etc., etc. And even when those ideas were challenged, she kept going with it. So we have the Liberal Party fomenting racism, and of course there's big sections of the media have taken their cue from that. So most people, if they rely on the mainstream papers or the mainstream television, have no idea that the so-called dangerous people who have been released into the community have done their time.
Yeah.
It's pure racism to say that someone who's not a citizen, who's done their time, is more dangerous than a citizen who's done their time. It's just pure racism.
That's what I've been saying all along. I mean, it's whipping up hysteria.
building up hysteria, and the 150-odd people who are released have mandatory limits on when they can go out. If they're caught outside their home, outside certain hours, they can go to jail. If they have to wear ankle bracelets, if they don't charge those ankle bracelets, they could potentially go to jail. Now, a lot of those people have challenged those provisions in the courts, and Labor has blinked every time. They've not wanted these issues to go to a court hearing because it's very likely that a court would say that the government is overstepping its powers. So we have a situation where vulnerable people who, let's remember, fled from other countries because of in fear of their lives on occasions, and on many occasions, on fear of torture, fled their countries, came here, then might have spent time on Manus Island in Papua New Guinea or on Nauru, then put in for an asylum claim, then rejected by a process that Morrison set up in order to make it difficult for people to become refugees, then committed a crime, then went to jail, then did their time, and then came out and have been put straight into detention. So we've got people whose lives have been completely blighted by what happened in their homeland, compounded by what has happened here under both coalition and Labor policy. And it whips up racism. It whips up fear that refugees are a terrible problem. So we've had handfuls of people in the last month or so make it to the northwest coast of Australia, up in the Kimberley. I think anybody who makes it that far deserves a medal, not a time in jail, because that's a pretty risky proposition. And we're being told by the media that, we're being invaded. Well, and that these people are a threat to us at the same time as the government is presiding over cuts in real wages, it's refusing to put up in job seeker, it's not lifting a finger around the housing crisis, to deal with all the tax laws that make it easier to be a property speculator than a homeowner, and the media will turn its attention onto these refugees. The law is even more draconian than I've outlined. The minister can say to somebody who's got a ruling that they're a refugee, I don't accept that. You're not a refugee anymore. It can say to any country, we won't take people from your country. And I'm talking about students and business people, and importantly, people coming to visit their families. Bans could be put on entire countries in order to strong-arm those countries into taking back people who are currently in deportation. So we have a Labor government that will not sanction Israel for 33,000 deaths in Gaza, that will not sanction Israel for destroying Palestinian cities, homes, schools, hospitals, mosques, churches, but might well put effectively sanctions onto countries like Iran or Somalia or Sudan and treat them like an enemy. This is very dangerous stuff.
It's setting a very, very dangerous precedent, isn't it? Because we were talking off air about Trump and and that draconian law about not letting Muslims into the country, into America.
Well, there's countries which are most likely to be targeted by the minister, because of course there's no list in the law. It just gives the minister the power to decide that a certain country will be effectively picked on. And we've often talked about the way the immigration minister has godlike powers. Well, this reinforces the godlike powers of Immigration Minister Andrew Giles, but they're not being used for godly purposes. They're being used to torture people. So say he imposes a ban on people coming from Iran to force the Iranian government to take a handful of people from Australian detention centres. Well, I think the first thing you can guarantee is Iran will say, up yours. And it means that those people will stay in detention even longer. But secondly, it means that anybody living here, including citizens of an Iranian background or people who are permanent residents, or on, some kind of visa, their family won't be able to come and visit them. It means that people won't be able to come and be students in this country. It is the bluntest of weapons that is picking on an entire country and all its people in order to bludgeon that country into taking 10, 20, 30 people back from Australian detention centres. And you think this is illogical, this is ridiculous, this is dangerous, this could risk international conflict, that this is all about Claire O'Neill and Andrew Giles being able to turn around to the media and saying, we are tougher than Peter Dutton. Claire O'Neill has boasted that she is tougher than Peter Dutton. People might remember years ago, Donald Trump and Malcolm Turnbull sat down to talk about America taking a number of refugees that were in Australian detention centres. And Trump said, why should I do this? And Turnbull outlined that these were decent people, they weren't terrorists, many of them had professional training, but Australia wasn't going to take them. And Trump turned around to Turnbull and said, you are worse than me. I think if Trump wins the election in November and he meets Claire O'Neill or Albanese, he's going to repeat those words, because Australia is in danger of being worse than Trump's America.
But this is terrible, David.
It is terrible, and there has been an absolute immediate upswelling of opposition across all pro-refugee organisations, the Refugee Immigration Legal Centre, the Caldor Centre, the Asylum Seeker Resource Centre. Obviously, Refugee Action Collective is speaking out against it. There was a snap protest called by the Tamil Refugee Council outside Flinders Street Station on Friday night. RAC is actually meeting tonight at 6:30. People are welcome to join us in person or on Zoom. Go to our Facebook page for the details. We'll be meeting tonight, and obviously top of our agenda will be, what are we going to do to make sure that this legislation never finds its way onto the law books? So we will be protesting. I don't know exactly what we'll decide tonight. It's a democratic process, so I don't want to jump the gun.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be at all surprised if we are not calling a protest over this and pickets of Claire O'Neill's office, Andrew Giles' office, and the like. This law is already striking fear into people's hearts. Almost immediately it was posed, I had an email from an Iranian refugee who is a good friend of the Refugee Action Collective saying, what are you going to do about this? Because for that person, there's a very real prospect they may never see their family members again. What a way to treat innocent people. It is disgusting.
It is disgusting indeed. So the legislation has gone through already then?
No.
Not yet.
Labor rammed it through the lower house of Parliament in one day. That's the kind of thing you do when you're going to war. That's not the way that laws are normally dealt with. It went to the Senate, and I'm not sure about the first time ever, but for the first time in a very long time, everybody in the Senate, except Labor, voted to send the legislation off to a committee where it could be examined and critiqued. Now, the Liberals have their own reasons. They want to embarrass Labor and keep this crisis running for as long as possible. But Greens and the crossbench, even, for goodness sake, Pauline Hanson and Jackie Lambie, even they sent it off to the committee. Now, the committee is taking feedback. Refugee Action Collective will certainly be joining many others in sending feedback to the committee. But I think the most powerful feedback we can do is to organise rallies and pickets to make it absolutely clear to Labor that they have completely overstepped the mark. This is an outrageous piece of legislation, and we will fight it tooth and nail.
I'll be honest with you, I've heard some interviews with Labor politicians, and I'm thinking, is this Liberal? Like, you can't tell anymore. You just can't tell.
The changes are there the differences are there on the margins. Some of the rhetoric about climate change, where Dutton's off with his nuclear fantasy, which is really about defending coal. Labor's talking about renewables. So there's issues like that.
Sure.
But there's too many issues where, as you say, it's hard to tell them apart. Palestine is a very obvious one. You know, which party is calling for a permanent ceasefire and an end to the occupation? It's not Labor, it's not the coalition. Which party is saying Australia should stop sending weapons parts to Israel and stop buying Israeli military hardware and software? It's not Labor and it's not the coalition. 33,000 people dead in Gaza, and neither of the major parties can find it in themselves to stand up for the lives of Palestinians. Now, you don't expect that from the coalition, but when Labor lets people down like that, when Labor says the profits for Australian big business, our alliance with Australia, with the United States, backing up Israel at all costs, that comes first. People's lives come last. I think that's shaken up a lot of people. I think there may well be some interesting election results when we go to a poll. I think Sam Ratnam, the leader of the Greens in Victoria, is having a tilt at the seat of Wills. I think she's doing that because she thinks there's a serious chance of an upset. But the lives of Palestinians can't wait for the next election, and the lives of people seeking asylum in this country can't wait for the next election. We have to settle these issues on the streets by going out and building a protest movement that makes the government back off.
Well, I hope so. I hope that does happen. And can you just announce the Refugee Action Collective meeting again tonight, David?
Yeah, we meet at 6:30. You're very welcome to come along in person. We're at the Kathleen's Time Library in Faraday Street, Carlton, very close to the Swanston Street big tram stop at Melbourne Uni, or you can find us on Zoom. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll find an event, you'll find the Zoom details. I might just mention there will be a discussion tonight about a protest, but Refugee Action Collective is also working closely with Free Palestine Melbourne and other pro-Palestine groups to protest outside Claire O'Neill's office over the treatment of Palestinian refugees. And that protest, put it in your diary, Saturday, April the 27th at 11 o'clock in the morning. And her office is in Oakley, just a few minutes walk from the train station. So we'll definitely be on the streets on April the 27th and watch this space for what we call and what we propose around this latest Labor legislation.
David, thank you so much for coming onto the program and also for highlighting, how Labor also stops the boats as well since 2013.
Yeah, no, their record is shameful, and yes. To be honest, Claire O'Neill, Peter Dutton, I actually, coming from an English background, I look at Claire O'Neill, I see Maggie Thatcher. It's a very, very scary comparison.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
We will fight and we will win.
Absolutely, David. Thanks a lot. Have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was David Glanz from the Refugee Action Collective, speaking about some of the draconian laws and violations of human rights that have come through in regards to refugees and asylum seekers. It's approximately 4:54, and we're just going to have a quick announcement.
The law is part of our everyday lives, including when we buy something, use a service, have a job, or rent a house. The law can be used to help protect and support families when there is violence in the home or disputes over parenting arrangements. Sometimes we might need to understand the law to navigate specific government systems like Centrelink, getting a residency visa, or if we come into contact with the police. Community legal centres provide free, quality legal advice and assistance to help people with everyday legal problems. We focus on working with people who are experiencing disadvantage, such as financial hardship, family violence, homelessness, and discrimination. Community legal centres are independent, non-government organisations and can be found across Victoria and Australia. If you're experiencing a legal problem, your local community legal centre may be able to help. To find a community legal centre near you, visit the Federation of Community Legal Centres Victoria at www.fclc.org.au. A 3CR supporter.
Mayday all night.
Are you a night owl?
I'm not.
Burning the midnight oil?
Working the night shift?
Or just an insomniac?
For one night only.
All night long.
Talkback with Attitude is taking your calls.
You've got to be kidding.
From 12:30 till 5 a.m. God. 7 a.m. I've just been corrected. That's, of course, if we survive.
From 12:30 a.m. to 7 a.m.
Till we get tired.
May Day, Wednesday, the 1st of May.
Well, that'll be an interesting one on May Day. It's approximately 4:55 and you've been listening to the Doin Time show, 3CR, and wanted to thank our guests for coming onto the show. First up, wanted to thank Aunty Glenda and Peter Jones for talking about the upcoming Memorial Massacre at Appin, New South Wales, and wanted to thank David Glanz as well from the Refugee Action Collective. It's approximately 4:56. Stay tuned every Monday for the Doin Time show from 4 till 5, and I'll see you next week. Be kind to each other.
As long as you a true fella, as long as you a real fella. All the people of different races with different lives in different places. It doesn't matter what your name is. We got to have lots of changes. We need more brothers if we're to make it. We need more sisters if we're to save it. Are you the one who's gonna stand?